Welcome to Old Ass Movie Reviews. This is, I don't know what episode, but we are knee deep in the Christmas season with our Christmas, fa-ra-ra, um, with our Christmas themed shows. And boy, do we have a treat for you today. But before we get there, I'd like to welcome our new listeners. We've gained in the Netherlands. So welcome to the Dutch. And thanks for all our new U.S. listeners we've picked up. All 5 of you, thank you very much.
They're all related to us.
Yeah. If you've got comments, questions, drop us a line. It's in the description of every podcast and our videos. We're on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and pretty much all podcast platforms as Old Ass Movie Reviews. And we do appreciate your continued listening. Today, Dave, what do we have?
Santa Claus Conquers the Martians.
Did he?
1964, I believe.
Yeah, 1964.
1964. But it has one of our favorite people in it. We were talking about her in a past podcast, Pia Zadora.
Yeah.
As a child.
She's a little green.
She plays a little Martian girl.
Yes.
And she's probably not as bad as actresses as everybody thinks. I actually like Pia Zadora. I know, it's odd. But, yeah, when I saw her name flash up on the screen, I was like, oh, my God.
I know, after we just talked about her.
Whoa. But, yeah, there's a lot of character actors in this. The newsman that's at the North Pole, I've seen him in a million things.
Yeah.
I don't know about the guy who played Santa Claus. The little people, the midgets that were playing the dwarfs, they all looked very familiar from people parts all through the 70s and probably early 80s. The main Martian guy,
he looked familiar.
I've seen him in a million things. The mom, I know I saw her before. I just can't. It's all people that I've seen that I cannot place because they're just character actors. You know, they're always a couple of lines here, a couple of lines there, and then move on. But the guy, the dad, always plays a bad guy. He always played a heavy.
Yeah.
So it's I picked the movie. You start.
Okay. All right.
And by the way, before you start, I'm real sorry.
It's all good. It's all good. I will get you back. That must be payback for the Devil Express.
Oh yes. Okay.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I'm going to just start with the basic premise of this movie is Mars has a crisis. Its children have developed apathy and they're just listless. They have no joy in their life and they are just consumed with media. This is a very telling... Huh?
Like you and me.
Yes.
Filled with apathy.
There's a hell of a message setting right there.
Yeah.
The setup for this movie is a good one. So a concerned father for his kids and the kids of Mars sees that there's this character named Santa Claus on Earth and he brings joy and everybody's all happy and everything. So they launch a mission to capture Santa Claus and bring him back to Mars to bring joy. I like the idea. I really do because it is a Christmas movie. It is a really good idea. The execution, oh my God, did they miss?
Yeah.
Did they miss? This is a hard one to get through just because it misses the mark so many times. And you can see the blueprint. You can see where they were wanting to go. And it's like, guys, you tried too hard.
I think that's what it was. I think they kept trying to hit the message instead of just writing a good story with this as a plot. I think they did the messaging too hard and too heavy.
And it always shows.
Yeah. The idea was great. Like Kat and I were talking, and I was like, I heard rumor one time that the guy who did Burton was going to wanted to redo this movie. I don't know what happened. It probably fell apart. But this is a few years ago, so it probably all fell apart. But I was like, I could definitely see him doing this. I could definitely see him doing it as a stop motion if he did it. And the script, for as tough as this script is, I could see that as a blueprint being used as a from the rewrite point, or
Hmm.
or at least taking and going, okay, this is the outline, this is the skeleton, let's build around it. Because the idea is great. The idea is really, actually, it's a fun idea,
Yes.
especially if you have Santa Claus just like, oh, kids need me somewhere else. Okay, I'll go there now and I'll help them. But it's the one funny thing is that as the Martian children were getting happier, the Earth kids that were kidnapped with Santa Claus were getting sadder. And even Santa Claus was getting sadder on Mars. It was like everything had flipped over because the Martians were going to keep them and they were going to let them go back to Earth. And I thought that was kind of funny. But Santa
Yes.
Claus still, he's being Santa Claus. He's going to try and help everybody no matter what. The idea is solid. I've always heard how bad this movie was, but I never knew why. And I never had anybody explain why it was a bad movie. And I think it's a bad movie because of the execution.
Yes.
I mean, even that stupid song is stuck in my head. Santaklaus. I mean, it's like, get the song out of my head, man.
Yeah, I cringe the minute I hear it. Of course, anytime anybody says Santy instead of Santa, I about lose my
Yeah,
shit. Uh,
yeah.
but that's me.
But the idea was good.
Yeah, the idea was good. It was. Here's some positives. They built some nice sets, dude. They had more than a desk in the middle of a room for their spaceship.
This
They
is
had
true.
lights.
This is true.
They I think they spent a lot of time making sets for this, and what they thought would be futuristic. But
Right,
I think what was hard was there was nothing different about the Martians.
right,
They ate the same foods, but it was in a pill, so that was futuristic.
right,
They,
right, right. Yeah.
yeah, and they had the little plumbing on their head.
What was the point? That thing was a bolt on the side of the gas line.
And the uneven makeup, they weren't even
Oh, the
completely
horrible
green.
make the makeup was horrible. The
Yeah.
makeup was horrible on this.
Um,
I mean, I saw better makeup on Star Trek.
they at least tried to make a set, I guess, and
Hey, the radar box was awesome.
yeah. Yeah, and I have down here that the message on how kids need to be kids. They need. I
Yeah.
thought that was good because it was funny because it's kind of a timeless message that nothing has changed. How many times have you been out to eat and you see a
Hmm.
family and children are just
Yeah. Yeah.
and
There's
nobody's interacting, and that
nobody
was
even
kind of
paying
the
attention to the kid.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, that drives me nuts. I hate when I see fucking parents do that with their kid.
yeah. Here's a phone,
Yeah.
Johnny. Just play your goddamn Bejeweled and shut the fuck up.
Yeah, don't
That
talk to
kind of
me.
thing.
Don't talk to mommy. Don't talk to daddy. Don't talk to
Yeah,
anybody.
yeah. So I
Yeah,
thought that was a
how was
good
that?
message. What's that?
I liked they had the one character of the the mentally disabled
Droppo,
Martian. Yeah. Uh,
my favorite character.
Now, for anybody who hasn't seen this movie, I don't even know if I recommend seeing it or not yet.
No,
I'll know by the time we're done talking. Um,
I'll say no.
whether or not. But the children are born and they're hooked up to these machines right away that literally have all the knowledge of Mars being pumped into their head. So the little kids, when they're able to walk, by the time they're able to walk, they already know everything they need to know. They're basically adults in little kids' bodies that don't know how to be little kids, which is the whole message of the movie. Um, so I'm trying to figure out how this mentally handicapped Martian, and there winds up being a couple of them with the villain Martian, that are not the most, maybe they short circuited their
Well,
brainwave
they later turned
pattern.
into the Three Stooges,
Yeah, yeah, which was
almost literally.
Anyway, mm, Bob was his name. Boro Boppo Boppy.
Oh, the stupid one, Droppo,
Yeah,
Droppo.
Droppo. That's it. I could not. I, I'm already blocking things out, so it
It's
must be
hard.
a no. But Droppo, they were setting him up, and I think you could have set him up in a really good way. Like, had he been on with them, and he been the only Martian that had a sense of humor, and the only Martian that was happy, and the only Martian that was trying to make little kids happy. I could have seen him doing the transfer over to the Martian Santa Claus
Right.
a lot better.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And you almost see that coming, like, like a far
Oh, yeah.
50-yard pass. Like, you see it coming and you know that it's going to happen. But I was like, this guy's not, he's happy, but he's happy because he's stupid. He's not happy because he's happy. There needed to be a rewrite with his character. And it all boils down to rewrites, I think, really.
Yeah.
The little boy actor that was human was god awful. The little girl, when they're on the North Pole, at least she's walking around like, oh, I'm cold. She's in a little mini skirt and little
The North
boots.
Pole,
And I'm
no
like,
big deal.
it's 45 below zero, but okay. We won't even mention the guy in the polar bear costume.
We have to. This was such a Night of the Lepus flashback.
I know that was the first thing I thought of. But anyway, the little girl's at least pretending to be cold. And the little boy's just walking around, and he's just in a sweater, and he's like, la, la, la. And it's like he notices her pretending to be cold. So he starts pretending to be cold. I mean, you can see it in the kid's face. Like, oops, I missed my cue. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And, it hurt to watch these little kids try and act. I mean,
but I'll give them a pass. Those are kids.
Yeah, they're kids. I'll give them a pass. Yeah, took the polar bear. The Night of the Lepus polar bear. Oh, yes. If anybody watching this hasn't watched our Night of the Lepus show yet, go back and watch that. We mentioned men in giant bunny costumes, and this kind of is reminiscent. Only
it is a man in a polar bear
way too long.
They showed way too much of it.
It's awful.
It's so bad. It's so bad.
The robot, Togar, whatever the name of the robot was.
Topol, I don't know.
It was worse than the Devil Girl from Mars robot.
Yeah.
Which I didn't think anybody could ever be worse.
They topped it. It
was literally a guy in a cardboard box painted silver with dials painted across the box's chest and conduit on the guy's arms for robot arms. It was awful.
It's funny when you look back at these old sci-fi films and what they thought robots would be like.
Little did we know that they were going to be Terminators.
Much
they were all going
scarier.
to look like Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Or Cylons.
With Cylon.
Yeah.
Oh. At least the Cylon in the red dress is hot. Torg was not. You put a dress on Torg, he's just going to look even more ridiculous.
Yeah, they can't all be Trisha Helfer.
No. Oh, God, that was funny. What else? Oh, the fact that they've automated Santa's workshop on Mars, and all he's doing is pushing a button.
Yeah, because his finger's tired.
There was one good line in that where the Martians are talking to Santa Claus, and they're telling him, you can't go back to Earth, and the children aren't going back to Earth, and now you're our Santa Claus, and blah, blah, blah. And Santa looks at the camera and goes, ho, ho, ho. And it's the best line in the whole movie. It's delivered perfectly. Like he just found out how much trouble he's in, and then he's trying to figure out how to get out of it without using his Santa powers and killing everybody.
Well, that was, when they captured him, there was another funny line when Mrs. Claus got frozen. And he's like, that's the quietest you've ever been.
Yeah, but she's not going to be happy when she comes out of it.
This is where the movie has issues. It doesn't know what it wants to be.
Right.
This could have been a solid sci-fi flick.
Mm-hmm.
They went with some slapstick comedy that just felt so out of place.
I think what they wanted to do was be a little kid sci-fi comedy thing, and that would have been that could have worked. But I think you have to have somebody that's smart enough to pull it off.
Yeah.
And I think these guys really, you can see it. You can see what they wanted to do. You can see that somebody cared. It was like, I want to make a kids' holiday special that's going to last forever. well, this movie lasts forever for the wrong reasons.
Right.
It's just not that great. It's not good. The costuming is mediocre for the Martians at best. The makeup is horrible. It literally at one point looks like blackface on some of these people's
Yeah, it's
walking
green
around.
face. And if I was a
Um,
Martian, I would be deeply offended.
I would be totally deeply offended if I was
Yeah.
a Martian and saw green face on a human.
Yeah.
I just would be. Uh, they had one really cool set piece on the Martian home, and it was the waterfall statue.
Yeah.
Did that little whatever. It was a pillar with water coming down. That was really cool. But that's like the only set piece that I looked at and went, "Hey, that really works."
Yeah.
Is there water on Mars? I don't know.
Well, they all lived underground. And that's what I'm saying. They took the time to build the caves. They took the time to build the interiors. Yeah, they weren't fancy, but they tried.
Right.
And here's the thing. I sent you a text that said I'd rather watch Plan 9 again, which used to be one of the worst movies in my mind ever. And now I've watched several that I want to return and watch Plan 9 again because Plan 9 really isn't that bad.
This cleanses my soul.
Because I think it's more frustrating to see somebody that had all the pieces there. They had the budget. They had actors that could act.
Yeah.
They had the budget. They had the time. They had the sets. They had the people. They had the backing and still made shit. Where Ed Wood had none of that and made shit. I give Ed Wood a pass because he kicked something out. It's like, screw you guys. These guys, God knows how much money they wasted on this.
I can't even imagine. I would say I would like to see the budget on this.
Yeah.
I really would. Because if it's like $100,000 back in '64, you got to be like, even then you're like, I get it. You guys didn't have a whole lot of money. There is a scene, and I don't know if you picked up on it. The father is going into the little kid's room and the door opens. And you can see through the door what looks like a tree branch with spider webs or snow or something hanging off of it. And I thought, okay, they're going to go into the little kid's room and it's going to be decorated like Christmas. But you go in there and that tree thing isn't even there. Later on, they go to the Thunder Cave or whatever the heck it was called, when they're talking to the little old man who just appears out of nowhere and is telling
the little old kung fu master.
Yeah, the little old kung fu master who just appears out of nowhere and tells them exactly what the problem is. That's the set that you're looking at through the bedroom door. Because the tree that I was looking at through the bedroom door,
I didn't even
got
catch
all that stuff hanging out, and I'm looking at it going, how did that get past? How did that get past the editor? How did that get past anybody? Because it's almost like they had the set for the house next to it.
They probably
and then
did.
When they had to film the other one, they just moved it out of the way, and the rest of the set is there.
And by then it was like, oh shit, oh well.
Yeah.
Nobody will watch this movie.
By then it's too late. But I thought that was funny. I just chuckled.
You know what would have made this better? John Jones.
Who?
John Jones, the Martian Manhunter. Then we could have had a movie.
Well, he could have just shapeshifted as Santa Claus.
Exactly. And it'd been done.
Ho, 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 children. I'm Santa Claus.
And then the white Martians could have showed up and there could have been a bloodbath.
That could have been ugly. That's DC needs to get the hold of the rights to this one.
You're onto something.
I would watch that. Oh, you were onto something. That's brilliant. I like that.
Santa Claus conquers the white Martians.
Yes. We had Christmas on Mars once. It led to slaughter.
There's none of us left.
The slaughter of the white Martians.
Oh my God, yes. That would be great.
Oh, God. Now somebody's going to see this and write this freaking story.
Just remember us. Give credit where it's due.
I just want to see it now. I don't want to write it. I just want to see it.
I don't have anything else. The bumbling fools who were trying to kidnap and kill Santa Claus.
Oh yeah.
To me, literally turned into the Three Stooges.
Yeah. The one guy who was the mean bad guy with the really mustache.
Yeah.
Wow. Why would you trust that guy when he says, "Well, I'm going to go take care of these things now," and he leaves. He walks out of the damn cockpit, and the guy who should be stopping him goes, "Well."
Where's Santa? They're
pushing
drifting
buttons.
in space.
It's like, wait a minute. Why did the Earth orbit look a lot like Mars orbit through the big window? Because the same three planets were always there.
I didn't catch that. It was hard for me to
It,
keep my eyes on the screen. I will say that. This was a rough watch. I had to
it
go at
was.
it in two goes.
I started it the other day, and then Kat and I had to run out, and I came back and I watched it today, and I just was like, wow. I had to. It was tough. It's a tough watch. If you have a little kid, they'd probably enjoy it. Um, 3 to 5, maybe,
No,
maybe. I don't know.
no. There's plenty of other children's movies that were probably
Yeah,
really
I would
more
rather have
entertaining.
my kid watch um, Chopping Mall.
Chopping Mall is entertaining. Chopping Mall is a masterpiece compared to this.
This had a lot of flaws. Like I said, I see what they were trying to do. I see absolutely where it fell apart and failed.
Yeah.
I could see if somebody were going to remake this, which the only guy I can see in Hollywood doing it and getting away with it and actually making it would be Tim Burton.
That would be
Um,
cool. A stop motion
yeah, with the
Tim
design that
Burton
they
film.
had, yeah, I could see it. I could definitely see it. Even live action, he might be able to pull off, but I don't know who he hired to play any of these parts. I
It's
really
such
don't.
a it's such a quirky story that it
Yeah,
would work.
yeah. With him especially because he does that weird, quirky stuff.
Yeah.
Uh, just oh man, it's a bad movie.
It's bad.
It's a bad movie. It's not the worst movie I ever seen, but it's bad.
It's up there.
It's bad like Night of the Lepus bad.
Yeah, because I wouldn't watch it again either.
No, I don't think I would either. It's bad like Devil's Express bad for me. It's bad. It's a bad
It's bad.
movie. And I guess maybe if you were like I said, I guess if you had a little enough kid, they might find it
No,
entertaining.
don't put your kid through this.
But yeah, they may never forgive you for it. That
No.
may be one of those things that's in the back of their head the rest of their life, thinking, "Mommy and Daddy tortured me."
20 years from now, they'll be sitting in a therapist's office talking about the mental anguish and torture that their parents put them through by watching them watch Santa Claus Conquers the Martian. You don't want that on your
What
conscience.
did your children? What did your mommy and daddy do to you? They made me watch a movie. My God, what was the movie? Santa Claus conquers the Martians. Those beasts. They're going to prison for this.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know if it's the worst, but it's up there with them, dude.
It's bad. It's a bad. It's a bad movie, and I don't even know. Like I don't know how long we've been talking about this movie, but it feels like it's one of the shortest reviews we've done.
It
We
is.
were just came in, said this is a bad movie. Don't go see it.
Yeah.
And
I'm
like
gonna
I've
give
said
my.
before,
I'm sorry.
go ahead. I was just gonna say, like I've said before, we watch the bad movies, folks, so
So
you
you
don't
don't.
have to.
Yeah. My recommendation is no. I do see where they were going. It doesn't work on many
Right.
levels. It's just this. I can sit through a bad movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
This one I couldn't. I literally had to turn it off because I was so annoyed. It's like I can't take this. I can't take it. I can't take the acting, the voices. Stop.
Throw popcorn at the TV. Boo! Boo!
Yeah. So I went back to it this morning and finished it, and it's like, oh my god.
Oh.
And it was the longest 5 minutes of my life because that's about all I had left. And it's like, well, shit.
Oh my God. Yeah, this is not a movie that I'd recommend. Like I said, maybe if you have a little kid, I don't know. I don't know. But no, as an adult, I say no.
No, no.
Um,
All right. Well,
there
that's
is
good.
before. Well,
Yeah.
hold on. Before you do that, I I don't know if we want to talk about this yet or not, but I just found out, and I mentioned it to you the other night that Disney Plus has got a new uh, Legos version of a Star Wars holiday special coming out.
I
So
am anxious to see that.
we're gonna We're gonna watch that. It's got to be better than the
Yeah.
original one.
Any of the Lego movies and the Lego games, the humor is such top
Yeah,
notch and the writing
yeah.
is so good. I think it will be good.
I just wonder how they're gonna pull it off. Like, are they gonna follow the basic outline of the original and just really tear it apart and make it fun, or are they just gonna do something completely different? That's the only thing I'm wondering about.
I don't know because I noticed that there's a bunch of Lego Star Wars shorts on Disney Plus, and I haven't
Yeah,
watched them.
I've
But
tried to watch a few of them, but I keep getting sidetracked. So
yeah, the Lego universe has made several Star Wars video games, and they're
yeah,
almost parodies. They are very
yeah,
funny.
and they're tougher
Um,
to play than the other ones.
what's
For
that?
me, so they're tougher to play than the other ones.
Yeah,
I always have a harder time playing the Lego games than I
yeah.
do any of the other ones.
But the writing's great. They're funny, so
Yeah,
maybe that's what we're going to get into.
I want so because and if we get it, we're gonna have to. We were talking about. We'll put it on the tail end
Yeah,
of
I
the other.
definitely want to try and put it in there. Next week, just to cleanse our palate, we're going to watch Gremlins.
Yay,
Yeah,
Gremlins!
I have not seen Gremlins in probably 15, 20 years. I I
We
can't wait.
watched it a few years ago. We watched it
Okay.
maybe 3 to 5 years ago. But yeah, it's a good movie. I love Gremlins.
Yeah, I'm looking
Did we
forward
want?
to it.
Okay, so that's we did bad, good, bad, good. Okay, that should do
Yeah,
it.
and we'll tack the Star Wars review in if it gets out in time, which I'm
Yeah,
sure it will
that'll be
be.
fun. That'll be
Um,
fun.
yeah. So that's going to do it for Old Ass Movie Reviews today. Again, be sure and check us out next week for Gremlins. I guarantee much better than this atrocity that we just reviewed.
I don't see how.
I don't either. Until next week, later.
Cheers.